Good morning and welcome to Carnation Crafts. We are live in the Carnation Crafts studio, and as always it is lovely to have your company. So very excitingly we are here with Pure Enchantment, and this launched a couple of weeks ago over on CNC. We now finally have it in-house, which is always exciting, and it is a beautiful collection that just flew. We knew it was going to, because it's something slightly different. So this is all about the fairies, the woodlands, all the lovely little elements that we can build those stories with. And it centers around the most gorgeous card shape called the Enchantment card shape. And the Enchantment card shape is quite different to the things that we're used to, so we are going to have a closer look at that. But you also get things like your mystical scenes and different variants there. You've got a second frame, a much smaller one called the Enchanted frame. We're going to have a look at that in detail today as well. You've got Into the Realm, which is the little light that can be cut into. You've got your Flighted Fairies, which are just awesome, and you've got lots to choose from in different positions there. Over the Hills, which is the cutest little scene, and it's really great for perspective building and for building really gorgeous scenes. And then you've got View from Above, which is your little, it's kind of like a little tree house. So all of these things come together to provide Pure Enchantment. You can find that on the Carnation Crafts website on 230310. The Carnation website is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Now the price for this would be £180.93. There is a show price today of £106.50, and your best price, and that's if you use your 10% discount, it's going to take you down to £95.85, which is £84.95 discount. So it's huge discount. You're going to get free P&P, obviously. So you really are getting at a bargain price at the minute, because it is going to go back up to its ordinary price soon enough. So this is, it's always, whenever you're looking at getting collections, it's always the time to do it kind of at launch, because that's when it's going to be at its best price. I was just going to say hello. Hey Pam Lillington, how you doing over on YouTube? We've got Amanda, good morning. Karen Vincent, good morning. Jeanette, good morning. Linda, good morning. And Kate says, morning Carla, I don't think I should be watching you as you're costing me a fortune. It's not me. I'm not spending your money. I promise. Miss Taz, shh.
You make me spend my money with things you show me.
Anyway, moving swiftly on, Pure Enchantment and all of the fun. Good morning, Jambird. How you doing? Hey, Patrice, how's it going? So we're going to have a look at the boards so you can see exactly what's in this collection and how gorgeous it is. And then we're going to start working through demos and having a look at different ways that we can bring it all together, just as a starting point for inspiration for you guys for when you get it home. If you purchase this today, there is a really good chance you're going to get it tomorrow. So hopefully you will be able to see that there. Good morning, Suzanne Page. Good morning, Pam Wade. So hopefully you'll be able to see all of the things, and I'm just checking in case that's my boss, but it's not. It's actually Dawn Wheeler. She's sending me a photo of a cat. There you go. So, right, what I'm going to do is go to the boards first. We're going to have a look at this card shape, and I want to go into it in some detail because it's so gorgeous and so lovely. Now, where you're seeing it here, you're seeing two different elements. So you've got the one that's in the shape of a D here, or you've got the circular formation on this side. So you can see how that's different, okay? So normally this will look exactly like the board next to it with a colorway. The reason being is this card shape works in different ways, allowing you to do different things. We can use it in this way, where you have this beautiful frame that sits forward with all of that gorgeous drama about it, or you can actually use it as it is there. Now what I mean by that, an example of that, look how pretty she is. Your little fairy sits there and that just sits forward, so she's suspended. Really sweet, so you can hang things from there. It's just absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Really, really lovely. So that is that, or we can do it as a normal card shape. Bear with while I find it out. Just one second. Here. So it's not just one fits all. There are different ways of playing with it. Now obviously when we're using it in a way like this, you've got all of those elements that come through the side, your mats and layers as we would expect, so you can lay it out on a piece with your backing papers and your perfect papers. Really stunning, really stunning. So it's up to us how we choose to use it. And so that's why we love this card shape so much, because as with Carnation, a lot of the time they give us dynamic card shapes, and dynamic card shapes give us more opportunity to work within and scope, you know, to kind of draw things out. Patrice says, where would we source the 10% discount, please? Just received my In the Moment USB. It's a gorgeous USB, actually, Patrice. There's a newsletter that you get when you sign up on the Carnation Crafts website. Every time that you get that newsletter, I think it's somewhere in the center of the newsletter, there is a discount code for the month. And that discount code gives you 10% off the entire website for that month, and it changes every single month. Will it work immediately if you sign up for it now? I don't think it's immediate. I know they were working on that, but it takes quite a bit of processing to get that sorted. And I don't know if that's been updated yet, but certainly sign up for it. That'll give you 10% off the discount completely for, you know, now until it. The newsletter is really worth having. I've signed up to newsletters by accident before that have not been worth having, and they just spam me. But this one does get you 10% off. So if it's perfect papers, glues, your basics, your crafting basics, 10% off that. Hey Viv, hey Jackie Ward, I hope you're all okay. Now, on top of that, you also get 2 colorways for this. So instead of just having the green, you also get this gorgeous kind of really beautiful white color as well, which has got these grey tonal elements to it and some cream. So you get the very summer, you get the very winter, you get both. Or you can just cut it in white, you can cut it in mirror card, you can do so many different things with it. But the 2 colorways are just gorgeous, aren't they? Really beautiful. I love that so much. And I think I've favoured that one a little bit for me because obviously, as you know, I like to work white on white. So I tend to favour certain things. So I do apologise if that's the case. So that's your main card shape. Then we've got this one, which I love. Your little frame, your gilded frame is so sweet. Look how cute that is. Now, all of these are mats and layers, obviously. So the likelihood is you wouldn't use all the center points for it. You would tend to just use your main one and then your base plates, which is what we've got here. And then you would add to it. So you could do something along the lines of putting just a sentiment on it, to be honest, or you can add it to another card base in order to create kind of a drama in the center of your card, and that's what we'll look at today. Good morning, Marie, or Mari. Sorry, I've got a friend whose name is spelled the same as yours, and hers is Mari, so I apologise if I got it wrong. Yeah, it's chilly here too. Chris Turpin says, I've lost sound. Chris, if you can't hear me, if you turn it off and turn it back on again, it should come back. Sometimes they glitch. So that's that one. Then we go here and you've got all of your elements for building that real fairy tale sense. So we've got those gorgeous crystals, that little stairway that goes to wherever it might be. And I love that. There's your imagination. Those fairies sit beautifully on the top of that. Your little toadstools, you've got your moss rocks, and then you've got some foliage here as well. Just this board alone, we can build something spectacular. Bring down the crystals to either side, put the little toadstools just on the side of that and build some foliage at either side. And you've created a kind of mystery just with those dies there because it's going to take us somewhere, right? Your imagination goes, where are we going? So I love it very, very much. Look at this. This is so sweet. There's something really cute about this. Just that little cottage that sits in the background there with that beautiful curvature which comes through with the gate that sits at the front. So we've got this picket fence. Depending where you put your fence, as far as this is concerned, depends what perspective you'll get. So again, we get to play with that sense of what's forward, what's behind. So you get to build these really beautiful scenes with this. And I love that. If you want to do something very clean and simple, that is absolutely the way to do it. Good morning, Linda. Then we have got some very upside down fairies. That would be me and Miss Taz. There you go. So you've got all 5. Look how gorgeous they are. All 5 of them, they've got an ever so slightly different colour tone to their belts. So some are like a purple colour, some are a blue, just different tones coming through. So all the elements that we've got from our backing papers, all the elements that we've got from our other vignettes. We were looking at those crystals a moment ago, that would go with these. They just bring out those colours and we can create the extraordinary with these. Look at that. Super pretty, right? Something about it. And then there they are again. Really cute. And there we are again. really gorgeous. There is often a how do I phrase this? This is not to put anybody down in any other way, shape or form. Sometimes when we're working with things like fairies, often the dies that we get are huge, right? We focus right in on that piece. And that's absolutely grand. But if you're wanting to book, see, can you all remember those? I think they were 1920s photographs. And it was the little girl, the flower fairies, and she was in the garden, right? And holding those fairies. It's the having to look to see them. That's the magic in them, and that's what I love about these. They're not in your face. They sit very delicately on your cards, so they instill this magic, this really beautiful scene, because they are just there very delicately, just there, and I love that about them. Plus they're beautifully done. So really like it. Jeanette says really love this, and those fairies are fabulous. I agree, Jeanette. I think it's just been one of those things where I've watched you know, I think we have fashions within craft, don't we? There's been unicorns, fairies, all of those things. And sometimes for me personally, nothing to do with anybody else, they're just a little bit in your face, and I get overwhelmed with them, whereas these are so delicate, so pretty, and so finely tuned. So I love them so much. So that's those. Then we've got this. This is useful. This would be great for rural charm. I love this piece. All your rocks and your elements to build decoupage, you can build this across, so you've got a longer panel, you've got the light. Cut that off, you've got just a little fairy light. There is also, on this side you can see, an extra decoupage element for that lamp. However, if you use it separately, one of your little fairies can be holding it. Super sweet, super cute. Really important pieces. They're the ones that we use and we build scenes with. And then this, I think, is extraordinary. You've got these little fairy houses. Now, this can be used with those fairies. So you pop the little ladder down, you've got a little hanging basket to go here, you've got your two little plant pots that can sit on either side. So your fairies can be going up the ladder, they can just be, you know, hovering near the house. And I've done demos before where we've done maybe 2 or 3 of them together, and they just look so sweet. So this is going to be a real boon. However, take the fairies away. It's only the fairies that are going to give us perspective, right? So take the fairies away, and these could be used for any cards. So if you want it to be that magical sense with the fairies, absolutely add them. But if you take them away, it could be part of a scene from Rural Charm, from any of those things. It's just the way you use them, right? So really sweet. It actually would work really nicely as a shed in some of the gardening ones as well. So don't think about it just as being one thing. As with all carnation dies, they are designed to go across all of your collections. This is no exception. So that is the Pure Enchantment collection, and it is stunning. It is so exciting seeing a little fairy house. I know, it's so cute. It's so exciting seeing all the different collections as they come out and how different they are, and yet how similar they are. And that's just to do with the fact that the artwork's all done in-house, and it does make a difference. It does make a difference because it's the same people doing it. 230310 for Pure Enchantment. You can find that on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. While you're on that website, you will find free downloads for these. So your artwork is free as well. So if you go to downloads and then free downloads, it will take you to a page that allows you to type in the collection that you're looking for. This one is obviously Pure Enchantment, so you just type into there and it will bring up a list of PDFs that you can add to your basket, and that's backing papers, that is your inserts and things like that that you can put in for free, but it's also the vignettes, the artwork that we cut with our dies. Put those into your basket, check out for free, and you will be taken to your computer where your downloads are, and you can print them from there. It's a what, Miss Taz? No? She's mouthing something to me, but I can't see. I'm too old to do that. And also I can't see her in any kind of clear way. So what you get then are your vignettes. So you've got them like this. This is what a vignette looks like. The reason that we get such a bright colour on those is because we use Pro Print. If you don't use Pro Print, it won't look quite as vibrant as that. Miss Taz is shouting at me in the background. Shall I do the whole thing, Miss Taz? Is that making you feel better? So if you've got them and you're using that Pro Print, you'll get this vibrant colour. If you don't, you'll get something that's slightly more muted. It won't look quite as zingy as that. Pro Print does help make things crisp. If you've got a mirrored vignette, it will have a black line down the centre of it. Not all of them do. Fold on the black line. So just don't fold in the centre. Always make sure that you're folding on that black line. So just along there. And then you're going to take some spray glue and you're going to spray glue the inside. You can use something along the lines of Pritt Stick if you want, doesn't matter. Once you've done that, you will take your die and you'll place it on top of here and you'll pop it through your machine. As you do, it will pop out and you will have a vignette which has got an image on both sides, because obviously you've got that piece there, and as you turn it, it's glued that piece there. So it all works together in that way, and you can see them coming through. Really beautiful, beautiful vignettes, okay? And that's all you need to do for that. Miss I got all my words. I was going to call you Miss Pritt Stick. Everything went wrong in my head then. I'm very sorry. I think that Miss Taz was saying on the board, we sell Pritt Stick. We sell Pritt Taz on the Carnation website. There's too many words. There's too many things that are being said to me, and my brain's not accepting any of them.
It's a jumbo stick.
It's a jumbo stick of Pritt Stick.
We don't have an item number. You just have to type in Pritt Original Jumbo Stick, and it will come up.
What if you typed in jumbo stick?
I just typed in stick because I actually didn't know how to spell Pritt, so
type in stick and it will come up. $5.99 for the jumbo. It just makes life easier for some people. A lot of you don't like using spray glue. I totally get that. Right, this card shape. Let me take all of these bits and bats and let's just release my fairies, pop those to one side, and my florals. Okie doke. Have I put this together already? I have. Right, let me have a look. Let me just take this out. I glued it. Miss Taz. Let me just show you it on here. This card shape has got, it looks like this. When you cut it, you get one piece, obviously, like that. And you're going to have two of them, so you need to print it out and cut it twice to make the card shape once. And you've got two together. So what you will do is put two of them together, and they will, so you'd have one D here, that's a D as such, and one D here, okay? You're going to take the second one and you're going to rotate it. So you've got one opposing sides. Now, if I do it this way so you can see what I mean, I've glued this, so it's not actually making it that easy for you. Let me just, I'm going to destroy this one, hold on. What you're going to do, it's very unlike me to be that organised. Oh, I've snipped it already. What I'm going to do is just show you it. So if I've got two of those together, did I not have another one this morning, Taz? No one can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I unplugged myself. That'll teach me to lean forward. Right. So if I've got the two pieces like this and both of them are the same way, let me just get them the right way around. So they're the same way, okay? What you're going to do with that is you're going to rotate one. So now they are back to back, and that's how they're going to work. All right, and we've got to make a snip in one of them so we can feed it through the other. And we need the two green bits to be together, so you're just going to sort of feed it that way. So if I do it that way, now I've done one upside down because I'm working with the opposing pieces, but you feed them together and there's slots here. Can you see the slots? So you're just going to feed those slots through each other. Now let me get the board back because that makes it much clearer for you. That's why I pre-did it. I think it's because I was doing so many demos. So where this is, let me just pull this apart. Can you see? Now, how is that? Because that looks like it's two full pieces, right? It doesn't look like you've got any separation there at all. And that's because there's a tiny little lock-in mechanism placed on. There you go, I can't even see it. It's there. And what that is a separate piece. So this card has got a slit in it at the bottom here. It's cut into so that you can feed the two slots together. So imagine that's then got a cut line in it straight across. I can put my lock-in mechanism back on to put that back together, and I can just slot that at the bottom and slot that at the top. And that gives you a perfect little card shape. How clever is that? Carnation do some of the most clever engineering it's possible to do, and I think that's such a fabulous little card shape because it sits forwards and it sits proud, and you don't have to use it that way. So let me show you again. You've got your flat edge there and your flat edge here, and all you're going to do is make a little slit on that one, okay? That way you can just slot them in. Once you've put your little locking mechanism on, so you're just going to glue that where you put the cut line, and you've got it now inside the other, it creates like a mystical, never-ending piece. Isn't that cute? Okay, so once you've got that, and we did much more in-depth ones on CNC, and I haven't got any extras cut here, so if I get a chance I'll do an overhead on it later on so you can see it in full, but I have absolutely put mine together for some bizarre reason. I'm never organised, Miss Taz. It's very strange for that to happen to me. Now I've got a piece of string here. Okay, you don't have to do it this way, but I like the way it works. Now, I'm going to do it on top because I want you to see how it's working. However, if I was doing this and I was doing it at home, I would hide my string under one of the panels and I would place it that way, and I would pop some glue on it, okay? And that would just allow it to sit inside there. So I'll do it that way just so you can see, and I'll just pop it through. Now I would hide my glue, my string at the bottom, but what I'm trying to do is work that through. Now to make this easier for you to see, I'm just going to remove my glass mat, and that way you can see the string working through it. So now we've got this panel piece coming through, we can start to suspend something on it. So I'm going to take a fairy. Here she is. How sweet she is. They're so delicate, aren't they? There's something really glorious about them. And she's going to get glued onto that piece of string, so she's suspended. Now, in order to, first of all, make sure she doesn't get caught on it, I'm just going to slightly bend her wings because they just overlap slightly on that side. Now, I'm just going to take a little piece of plastic, pop that onto it. Now, when you're working at home, make sure that you're using a glass cutting mat or a surface underneath it, because I'm going to have to get some glue on that table. In order to put some glue here, I'm going to have to. Miss Taz, it's fine. Miss Taz, it's okay. So I'm just going to very delicately, along that piece of string, just place a tiny amount of glue. And then where I've put the glue, I'm just going to place her. Please do bear in mind, you don't need much glue. It will stick. It's all good, okay? And she will stay suspended, you see, while she's there. Now, because I haven't glued my string down, I can maneuver where I want her to be. I can lift her up and lift her down until I get her into place and then decide where to stick. That would be my advice for you at home, so you can just get to that end point and decide what's easiest for you. How does it work best for you? Good morning, Linda McLeod. Good morning, Karen Richardson. Good morning, Carol Healy. So where do you want that point to be? Where do you want her to be? Make decisions once you've got things in place. So by using the string and having it so you can move it up and down, by the time you've worked out all your other placings, you'll know where you want stuff. Now, what I'm going to do on this one, just quick and simple really, I just wanted you to see how it works. So I've got my little toadstools, which are super, super sweet, and I'm going to build them up. Now I want these to overlap where that circular piece is. So when that frame sits forward, they sit overlapping, but what I don't want to happen is for them to bend. So I've got to watch for my center point where that lock-in mechanism is, which is just there. So I want to make sure that they don't overlap that point. So I'm just going to make sure the glue is kept to the bottom of my little toadstool, which is about as cute as a button. So just placing tiny amounts at the bottom there, don't need many more than that, and I'm just going to place that on thither. And then I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to turn this round just to gauge some symmetry. And because we've got mirrored vignettes, as we were talking about this morning, the image is on both sides. It doesn't matter which way I place it, I have the choice. But we're going to symmetry it out just about there. And I'm just sticking the bottom bits down. I'm not bothered about sticking any higher. I don't need it to be fully flush. I just need those pieces to be where they are. See how cute that is, and how they come out of the leaves. Is that not really sweet? There's something really beautiful about this little collection. I think there's something very peaceful about it is a good word. They're peaceful. So these little flowers, can you see what I've done here? Let me have a look. See how there's a wee triangle just at the bottom? If I poke that through, I can make these really cute overlapping little sort of bouquets, these wildflowers. And it's a really nice way of using them because you infuse the colour together. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to stick a tiny amount of glue just on the blue one so it adheres to the yellow behind without interfering with the structure of it. Okay, and I'm going to tuck it, and I'm just going to choose little points at which I can tuck. Now I can tuck it into that piece, and you see how it covers my workings naturally, so I don't have this full bulbous ending that I would get if I didn't tuck it in. I can choose larger slots and place it through. I can bring it lower, so I start overlapping those toadstools. So it's about choices. Where do you want it on a composition level? Where do you want it to go? Now for me, I'm going to place it at the bottom, and I'm just going to section it out. So I'm probably going to place it around there, so I've got that little overlap, but I've also got my framing value coming through, because where the toadstools sit up, I'm now going to allow things to go off into a direction. So it's framing everything at the bottom. Now I would glue that in, but what I'll do for it, just to make it easier for you guys, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on one of the leaves behind, just there, and allow that to adhere that way, and that will keep it tucked in like it's just going to keep it in place, right? I haven't put much glue, and you don't need a lot of glue. One of the biggest mistakes we can do is over gluing. So same thing again. So I've got my little florals, just a little bit of adhesion, not much, push them in. Same again, so I'm going in at this side instead, placing through, and I've got that gorgeous framing line now. Little bit of glue there just to make sure that adheres to the card. I don't want it falling out if I'm posting it. So I have that beautiful spray now coming round, and it's what it's doing. So visually, where my fairy sits in the middle, I've got a lot of stuff going on around the edge, so I need to break that. Otherwise, she's just sitting in a big circle. I need to break that so it becomes a forest. It becomes a visual point. And how I do that then is to create that framing device at the bottom. So use your grounding devices, use your framing devices, and you'll find you have this glorious way of just paneling up. Now, because I've got that, I'm probably going to go in with some extra florals and bring it round, all right? And that's just to allow it now to have that circular motion. I've got all of the foliage I need here. The foliage is in the card shape itself, and that allows me to build and build and build. It's just glorious, isn't it? So a little bit more here. Let's build again on the other side. You don't have to use symmetry, but I will tell you, symmetry is one of your biggest gifts when you're card making, especially if you're a beginner. You don't need to worry about comp when you're doing symmetry because it will naturally work for the eye. So I still haven't committed to her at this point. She can be higher if I want her to be. So grabbing this, she's like magic. Grabbing this, I can take her up or I can bring her down, depending on what visual impact I'm at. What do I want her to be doing? Why is she doing what she's doing? What do I want her to be achieving? So what I'm going to do, leave it where it is, and I'm just going to pop a leaf here as if she's grabbing it. Okay, so we're telling a story now. What is the story? Well, she is finding her way. Little bit of glue on this, and it makes sense of her poise, and it makes sense of the card. Now, what doesn't make sense is that I've got this random leaf. Okay, why is it there? What happened? So what I'm going to do is place some other leaves randomly, just from the side panels, and then visually to the person looking at the card, it now makes more sense because now we have a reason. Well, there's more than one. She's doing something. It has a reason, it has a purpose. So one more here. I'll do it a bit lower and hide it there. And now she has a purpose. Now we know why she's doing what she's doing, okay? So it's just about making sense of things. Now I'm just going to finish it off. I've cut that little light off and I'm just going to finish it off with that. It might sit right in the center actually, so it covers up my workings from the string. And that would allow me to cover that up. Now I don't like this bit sitting randomly, so I'm going to snip it just at the very top. And we're just going to place that through and place it on. Now obviously when you're at home you're going to want to cover up your string. I'm not going to worry about it at the minute, I'll just cut this off. But you're going to want to cover it, just glue it down at the back. Oh, watch her fall off now. So there she is, she's happy as Larry, she's collecting that little leaf that's just coming down. And if I can raise her very delicately, because I haven't stuck her string down. Isn't she so sweet? Little flower fairies, really gorgeous. They're delicate, they're really, really pretty. There's something about the little fairies that have got something so refined and glorious and lovely about them, because they're not in your face. They're not in your face at all. Now, I wouldn't normally use white string. Look how she's, look, can you see how she's twirling? I wouldn't normally use white string, guys, but the reason I did it obviously is so that you can see it on demo. You can get something that's called, it's like polythene cotton, and it's very strong, and it's a bit like fishing wire, but it's very thin, and it's not expensive, and it's completely see-through, so it gives the illusion of having nothing there, and she would just float. So that's something that you might want to go and look for. I found it years ago on the Zon, and I'm sure you can too. But it is an option for you, especially making lots of these, because it will give it that beautiful flow on the cards. Now I'm going to go through really quickly a couple of finished samples with you, and then we're going to carry on with demo, because I want you to see as much as you can. But let's take it to the very, very basic. We're using your eyelet and ring here. All we've got are some flowers going up the side and your little fairy. And we've got something incredibly impactful. We've got something very clean. It's really, really beautiful. White on white, always going to be a good thing, right? White on white is powerful. And you've got that, especially then with the blue lines, the little blue gem. And that works so well just being held in her little palm there. It's really sweet. So options, again, something here that is sort of, I suppose, similar to the one I was just making, where you've got that little fairy where she sits. Now, some of the DT, I'm just putting it that way because it's quite bright. I'll put my mat back down in a second. Some of the DT have glued two of these together to make it thicker, and that's another option. Or they have decoupage around the centre. That's another option. If you want it to just feel a little bit more solid, absolutely something you can do. You don't need to. It stands perfectly well as it is, but it's one of those things that's an option. Beautiful use of the little house at the bottom, and then the florals to create it. And what we've got here is Magical New Home. Where do you get those from? Well, it's part of your download. It's digital stamps. You just use your nested dies, any that you choose, in order to be able to cut the shape that you want. And that's why nested are so important. Talk to you about nested all the time. It's one of those big things. Get as many nested dies as you can to give you as many possibilities as you can get. Love this. That little frame. Miss Taz, will it help if I put my mat back, do you think? There you go, peeps, that's better. So, thinking of you, you've got this glorious little oval frame. Now, we're going to work with this during demo today. She sits at the bottom, really sweet little florals. How we bring it all together. Now, what's great about this one is, when you look at this, everything at the bottom is symmetrical. We just talked about symmetry. We talked about how important it is. In order to offset it, what we've done is worked in a diagonal. And that floral piece at the top allows your eyes to move, and so you read the sentiment. You look at this at the bottom, you automatically read the sentiment because your eye is drawn because of those florals. So it's just those little tips and tricks that we get as we're going through. That is from Sue. Thank you, Sue. Love this one. It's like Superman with all the kryptonite. Where was Superman when he was in with all the crystals? He was in a cave. The original. You're too young. Richard Pryor. He was in a cave, I think, and there was lots of crystals. Anyway, my brain's going back to 1980. I don't know how to open it. There you go. Is it Krypton? I don't know the things. So again, a use of this card shape that's slightly different, where we lay it on top and we add our layers. Then you've got the paneling in the centre. Look how pretty it is. Look how much you can do with this one card shape. It's so pretty. Apertures that you can create, layers that you can create. Cut two of these, put foam tape behind those big flowers so you've got a depth between the two of them. You'll create something just stunning. And then think about if you had another layer on top of this one, think about laying florals underneath so they just very delicately catch the colours. Really sweet. Use of those little tree houses. Isn't that pretty? Really gorgeous way of bringing things through. The little pieces here, I always say to you, these ones are usually your most important, your little grounding devices. We overlook them when we're looking through the boards because we're looking at the fairies and we're looking at the card shape and we're wowed by them. But actually these ones give you so much impact on your card. They finish it. So they're all important. There isn't one set that's ever going to be more important. There's no fillers with Carnation. I love that so much. Isn't that pretty? Again, one of those digital stamps cut with your diamonds or your squares, if you like, and put on the side. That's another from Sue. Thank you, Sue. DT are fabulous, aren't they? More with those crystals. Recognise that? That's from the big card shape. Just pulled round. Stunning. Something slightly more glitzy with your mirror card. Hey up. Best wishes. So your sentiments are all there. Something really simple and nothing to do with fairies. Really simple. Everything in this, you at home have got the power to make. There is nothing that I'm showing you here that you cannot do yourselves. Cute. Once upon a time. Cute as a button. So all of these cards are done by the DT team and they all get the same collection and they all get the same backing papers. You know, nobody gets something different. They all get the same thing. We all do. I get the same thing as well. And we all create differently with them. And it's because the only thing that stops us is our imagination. It's important. 230310 Pure Enchantment from the Carnation Crafts website. We're on special prices at the moment because we are obviously launching on this channel. You should be paying £180.93 for this collection. It's taken down on the show price to £106.50. If you've got your newsletter, you're going to get 10% discount. You're going to get a show price today of £95.85. That is one heck of a saving. Free UK P&P as well. So today is the day. It is the time to grab it. We do have perfect papers. Something a bit different about the perfect papers this time, you will see. So I think the eagle-eyed amongst you will spot that we have patterned papers this time for the perfect papers, and they're stunning. So instead of just going in with your 6 colours and 8 of each, you've now got your variants with those patterns on them, and the colours are gorgeous. So you've got your lavenders there and your purpley colours, and then you've got your creams and your greens. You can do so much with these and they're so pretty, and I'm so excited. I don't know how often they're going to do the patterns. I don't know if it's something that they're going to now or if they just did it for Pure Enchantment, but man alive are they pretty. And the mats and layers you can create with those little patterns on them are so precious. They're so lovely. So perfect papers, absolute opportunity to get them. £14.99. If you do only buy those, it is £2.95 P&P. 230318 on the Carnation Crafts website. So grab those in. If of course you buy those and the collection, your P&P will be free because Carnation have a policy that if it's over £50 you'll get free P&P on their site. So that's always nice to know, right? Linda says, beautiful cards from the design team. Absolutely. They're really good, the design team. Right, let's demo. Let me find my bits and my bats. Let's see, let's go in for this one. So we'll have a look at that other little card shape as well. So you've seen both card shapes. Pull out all my bits and all my bats. Right, let's have a look at what we've got. So we're working on a plain card shape to start with. So I've got an elongated. So what are we at here, Miss Taz? We are at, so have a look, 5 1/4 by 8. So nothing particularly spectacular there. Lorraine, good morning. Don't apologise for being late, lovely. It's just very lovely that you've joined us. So scored at 1/2 inch. Pull your red liner tape off. Fold it away from yourself. Put it towards your body. Shuffle the two together. Place it down. Make sure it's on your line on your glass cutting mat so you know it's straight. Push everything in place. And then I'm working with layers. Now you all know I love my chunky layers. However, this time I have used quite flat foam tape. And there's a good reason for that. It's because I'm going to bring in another card shape. So because of that, I want these to disappear in the background. So that's what I'm going to do. What are you laughing at, Miss Taz? The cat hair stuck to it. Miss Phyllis has been an absolute menace for the last 2 days. She's not in good books at the moment. She has tormented the children. She's tormented me. She's tormented Miss Babs. I know, poor Miss Babs. Poor Miss Babs. So, push, pull. Miss Babs is also another cat, in case anybody's sitting at home thinking that my grandma has somehow been terrorised by my cat. I'm looking on the overhead. I'm sorry, guys. These will be on the wonk. I can only get it so far. Hold on. And there we go. It'll just work there. When you're doing it at home, it's really important when you're doing your mats and layers. I can't because you're going to see my great big noggin. But when you're putting them on, lean and look. Don't do what I'm doing, which is trying to do it from here, because otherwise you're going to see my head. Lean over. Make sure you've got that eye line straight so that you can see exactly where you're putting it. It's really important. Obviously, when we're doing it on the overhead here, we can't do that quite so well. But it's definitely something you should look for. Now, this gorgeous, look at that. Pretty as a picture. Sonal, is this a new collection? Yes, it was on Create and Craft a couple of weeks ago. That was the launch of it. This is the first time we've launched it on the Carnation Crafts website. So yes, it's new. You can get it on their website today for 230310, carnationcrafts.co.uk. So I'm taking this in and I've got the panel that sits on top of it. So I've got all my pieces and my elements, but I want to play. I don't want it to be quite that naked. Okay, so I'm going to add stuff to it. So what I'm going to do is I've got my foam tape here and I've got this now on a 3mm. I've taken it up and I've got it so I've got edges there, because what I'm going to do is give it a visual point. So I'm going to lay those in. Look at the drama on that. So pretty, isn't it? And place. Now, options. Composition options. What do you want to do at this point and why do you want to do it? Do I push this forward so I create like a drama, like a veil coming down, like a haircut? Do I do the same thing from the bottom? And then it looks like one of those Roman hats. Or do I keep it entirely central and push them further together so you just get that smaller amount? Now that is what I'm going to do, is just sort of lower it. But the drama that you get changes depending on where you put it and why you put it. Can you see how it changes? Now, if it was me and I was going to put that as it is there, I personally would need to cover the top point and the bottom point. I wouldn't want it, to me it looks odd. There's an out of balance piece. However, if I push them together and they're closer, I don't have that discomfort from my eye. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm just going to very, very loosely put some wet glue on here. I change those round. So I'm just going to very delicately put a little bit of wet glue and very gently place. I don't know where they need to be and I can't commit until I can get that frame on top of it. Now my frame is going to hold this down essentially, so I don't need to worry too much, but I do need to be able to move it. So if I just put little bits, not much, we're not committing too high. I know there's a distance of about that much. I want them to be central. I don't want it to be off kilter. Now I can take this and go, where do I want it? That's about right. So I'm just going to ever so slightly pull them apart. Commit now. There. Take this off. And place it just centrally there. Make sure that's where I want it to be. And I should be about right. Now it might be a bit crooked, but that'll be about right. Look how pretty that is, okay? Now, once you've committed with that tape, like I just have, it's going to be more difficult to move it. And I could have done with that being slightly further, but it's fine for what I need it. My main focus is going to be on what's on top of it. So all we're doing is just adding a little bit of frilled detail to the side. Place this on top with red liner, so I'm keeping this flat because I'm going to work upwards from it. I'm going to start building on top of that. This is just setting my scene at this point. So again, when you're working, work over the top. Like if I put my head down, you can see I'm going to block your view, so I can't do that. When you're working at home, make sure you're leaning over. Now what we're going to do is create mystery here. So I want to have shadow. And the reason I want to have shadow is if I don't have any shadow at all and I just lay it flat, where is it going? We don't know. Where is it coming from? We don't know. If I add a shadow, suddenly I'm going, that's going from somewhere, has a reason. So we pin flare it up to the max. Now this is a brand new syringe, so we're going to pray that I don't squeeze everything everywhere. Here we go, and I'm going to build height. See how much I'm putting on there? So you can see it from the top. That is a whacking big bit of pin flare, and that's okay. See the shadow? See how it makes sense? Where is it going? Where is it coming from? And that's all we're doing, is just making sense of it. So I'm sitting it high, I'm leaving it high, and I'm creating that mystery. It's both a mystery and an answer. Now we get to play. Okay. Pretty, right? Pretty as a picture. Little bit of pin flare on this. I'm not raising. But if I use wet glue, I'll lose the shadow in the window. So just a tiny smidge of pin flare. Give it that lift. And then we're just going to play. She's going to be sitting on the steps, so we're going to bring her in first. Because she's my main focal. She's looking at her new home. And then let's add some colour. So I've got my two floral. Look at that. The colour is so glorious. I love these pink flowers. Just enough. Bring some colour through. Let's raise those florals. Make that colour shift predominant, because now we make sense of the purple behind the frame. Those colour tones are warming everything up. We've got a little lamp, and that's going to hang from the top of my house. Lighting her way home. I've got little plant pots. I'm going to put one just on the stairs next to her. Use your steps as grounding devices as and where you can. Another one, and this time I'll just pop that slightly behind and slightly to the side so they're not quite straight. And then one more, and I'm just going to put it on her little balcony. And maybe she's doing a little bit of gardening. A couple more florals. Let's raise in just a little bit more colour at the front, and then we're done. You don't need much with Carnation. What you need is just the ability to have a go. Once you've taken those steps, it's so easy to work with Carnation stuff because it's so pretty. And there you go. Dimension, colour, clean, all of the things that make it just really sweet and really pretty. Yeah? It's not difficult, is it, to work with Carnation stuff, because it just automatically has that real beauty to it. Really, really gorgeous. Now I'm going to try and get one more demo done, Miss Taz, if that's okay. So just to let you know, I've got a hair just on my face, which is driving me mad. 230310 on the Carnation Crafts website, which is www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Please do remember to put your 10% voucher in, which is on your newsletter. It'll have a code. Put that in where it says coupon code. It's going to give you 10%. That's going to take it down to £95.85 today, which is ridiculously low compared to the £118.93 that you will be paying for it in a couple of weeks when it goes back to its normal price. Right, let's do, what should we do, Miss Taz? Should we do clean and simple and chunky, or busier and brighter?
Clean, simple, chunky.
Clean and simple and chunky. Okay, let's do this thing. So this will be a quicker demo because we're running late and I kept you late last time, so I apologise. Time management, never been a skill of mine. Right, let's work with some of those layers. I just dropped, I have. Miss Taz, you're going to love me, but I'm going to need your help.
Okay.
That's where we get Mrs. Taz. Do you want to put me on the overhead and then I'll work overhead, and then if you can come to the side and grab my fence. Not a word you hear every day. Right, card base. So we've got 2 pieces.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Miss Taz. And that is 8 by 6. So just a plain and simple. Thank you for my fence, Miss Taz. You try and get out. Welcome to my world. And then I'm going to place that onto there. Push down. Up. Shuffle. Do you know? I'm having a right time of it here, Miss Taz. Place down. Push across. Okay. Clean, simple and chunky. Sometimes when we're working with chunkier details, it's better to keep your card clean. And the reason being is you're given a lot of drama just by height. So you can see here I'm using 3mm, and I think I might even take it up to 5mm at some point during this demo. So I've got my foam tape. Again, I'm working from above, so hopefully I'll get it roughly straight. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about in this is your layers. Now, when I've done my mats and layers in the previous demos, I've been using 1/4 inch between. And on this one, I've changed it down by, so I've done a 1/2 inch. So I've got a bigger gap between my white and my green. And again, this is a composition choice. This is about why. Why am I doing that? Because normally speaking, we use 1/4 inch between each layers. And I'm using 3 layers on this, so you would think it would be easier to use the smaller increments. But sometimes that white card base at the bottom is one of the biggest things we can do to make our cards stand out. Not always. If you're working chunky, I would use that as a great rule of thumb. If you're going to work chunky, take it down by a 1/2 inch increment for your second mat on that white layer. It'll just give it much more impact, but it make it look less offensive to the eye, if that makes sense. These beautiful, beautiful, I'm so in love with these papers. These back, look at that. Isn't that stunning? I'd like that up on a wall. Like, I think that is so gorgeous. So it's a bit too busy for me to put stuff on, and I will explain what I mean by that for me, not for you. Just personal stuff. So I'll place that on top roughly. Like I say, guys, it's on the wonk, but we'll cope. You know what I mean. So push, pull. Right. The reason for me, personally, it's too busy. My eye doesn't cope well with that stuff. So if I place this on top, for me personally, I'm losing it. I can't explain that any better than that. I lose it. My brain goes, no. If I can raise that and get some shadow, I can start to understand it more. But it's still, I don't need that much detail in the back because my artwork is so strong. To me, I need to cool those tones. And so the way I do that is to bring in white. So I've got the joy of the pattern. I've got the joy of the colour. I've got everything I need from it. But then I'm going to cool it so that I can really show the artwork off. So then I'm going to go here. Place that on top. Push, pull, and then now I've got this beautiful piece, and you can see how the difference in layers works. So 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on, and that means that visually I've got a frame as if it was actually a framed picture, And then if you think of a picture when you've got your mount and then you've got your pieces round, that's what we're creating here. You're creating almost a picture frame in a mount, but a reversed one. Now, this is going to be really simple, this card. Let's not make things more complex than they need to be. And let's go with some very basic colours. So I'm not going too busy right now. So what we're going to bring in is this house first of all. Do I need to raise it? No. Am I going to? Absolutely. Because I want the shadow from it, right? Because then it's going to look cute as a button. So it's personal choice. It's just something I like to do. So I am going to raise that up. Yep. So a little bit above the window, a little bit below the window, a little bit the side, a little bit to the side. That's all I need. I'm not raising it hugely, but just enough to create a bit of a shadow. And I'm just going to drop it very, very gently about, I'm going to do it at the top and then probably regret that in a minute, but that's where we're going for now. Then I want the little ladder. Look at that, it's so sweet. The little ladder that goes up, that look. Mr. Taz, I want to live there. It's cute. And then I'm going to just get some wet glue. Tiny amounts just on that ladder. Okay, and that's all I'm doing. I can leave it loose. And I'm stealing basically some of that pin flare anyway from behind, so that's allowing it to stick even more. But I'm just going to use my pokey. Yep. Just make sure that's adhered. And that's all I need. Look at the little girl up where the shadow comes. Isn't it cute? See how we play with the shadows? They just create. Right. I've got this gorgeous little garden gate and it is so sweet. Now, because I've put my house so high, if I put this here, it's not going to make sense. And if I put this here, it's not going to make sense because my house is too high and I'm going to have this weird panel at the bottom. I've got options. How do I fix what I've done? Well, my option would be to just pull that slightly down. Not too much, just slightly down because the ladder's still not showing. Now it makes sense. Okay? Just stops it being too high. Because otherwise I'm off kilter with my balance. So I can fix any mistakes that I make just by simple things. What I'm going to do with this, two options with this, I can lay it flat. So I've got this garden, fence, or I can curl it using those cut lines, take a little bit of wet glue, place it down that side there, a little bit of wet glue here, and a little bit of manoeuvring. Bear with me with my arm, I do apologise. Making sure I've got it where I want it to be. I'm going to place and place so I get that gorgeous curvature where it comes off the page and it sits. And I've got all the shadow play in the world just working its magic. Okay. Then from that, I'm going to bring in some of those glorious toadstools. I said that on air, but said it in a whole accent and got into trouble. So that was exciting. So I'm going to place my little toadstools just to the back. We're keeping everything white and green predominantly in this whole little section. One more set at the other side. Jeanette says, I want to move into that little house with all my crafty goodies. I am with you there, Jeanette. I'd like to have a little pet duck if I lived in that house, called Clarence. That would be lovely.
What about the donkeys?
Oh, I have donkeys anyway. They come with me everywhere. You know they do. Gary. I wouldn't be without Gary. I think Miss Taz actually thinks I do have a donkey called Gary. I think I've talked about Gary for so long, she actually believes I do actually have Gary the donkey who wears a fedora. This is why she constantly asks for a pay rise. I mean, Gary is a really lovely donkey. He's got a really bad attitude problem, just for anyone who knows. Occasionally bites. Placing that in. What was the other one called? There was Gary and was it Tony?
Yeah, Tony.
Tony was a bit more chill.
Got given Gary.
You were given Gary because you deserved it at the time. I think you were being mean to me.
Never me.
I think you were saying that you were going to ask Mark for a pay rise at the time. Let's pop this here.
When I joined, I wasn't expecting to be a higher.
She does say that a lot, you know. There you go. Just going to place that and make sure it sticks. I don't want to squash my pin flare. It's the one time I would say to you possibly to use more glue than less, is because if I squash that down to make sure it's adhered, I am going to squash the pin flare below my house, and I don't want it to do that because I'm trying to create something that's very, very minimal here. And if I squash the pin flare, whereas if it's busier, you might get away with that. What I've got is very clean edges here, and I don't want to ruin that. Now I'm going to bring in a pop of colour, a tiny pop of colour, and nothing excessive. And that is just going to be my little plant pot, and it's just going to sit very sweetly just at the side of that house. Now I could have used pin flare and put it right at the edge and it would have still raised, but I just love the little pop of colour. Now I've got a sentiment here that is Magical New Home. Do I want to use it? Not really. Do I like it plain and simple? Yes. However, if you wanted to, you could pop it at the bottom. You could pop it at the top. You could pop it off kilter. You could put it at the side. I don't want it. I like it the way it is, but I'm just going to lay it there so you can see it. I know lots of people love using sentiments. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I prefer it to be just very clean. So I'm going to actually take it away, but I did want you to see it with, because I know lots and lots of people love to craft with them all the time, and I want to give you all the choices that you can, but for me that's so perfect and it's so sweet and so magical. So I'm happy with that just the way it is. I'm happy with less colour. Hey up, Miss Taz. How do I get that further forward? Oof, that makes it big. It's like a giant fairy house now. There you go. So that's less of a fairy house. That's like fee fi fo fum these days. But you can see how you just use those clean lines, a little piece at the bottom to create your grounding device just underneath that, so it looks like grass or foliage at the bottom. Those clean lines with those toadstools, the ladder going up, and that gorgeous fairy house at the top. Nothing more. We don't need to overface cards. However, we can go truly busy with this collection as well. We all craft in different ways, and there is no right or wrong with Carnation. What do you love? How do you love to craft? Do you like your panels? Do you like lots of layers? Do you like loads going on, or do you prefer them very stripped back? Because either way with Carnation, there are no rules. We can just play and we can breathe it. It's important to have that kind of freedom when we're creating. This is Pure Enchantment 230310 on the Carnation Crafts website, www.carnationcrafts.co.uk. Best price today at $95.85. If you do happen to use your 10% discount code, that will give you 10% discount as far as I'm aware across the whole of the site, so you would get it on your perfect papers. Is that right?
I don't know if it works for the deal of the day.
Oh, does it not?
Because we've already got...
Is this deal of the day today?
No.
What's deal of the day today? Wait guys, don't leave. What's deal of the day? Deal of the day.
Let's have a look.
Can I guess it?
I mean, you can guess.
Is it a die?
I haven't looked.
Ooh. I'm going to go for the multimedia mat.
I reckon maybe a lovely floral die.
Okay. Deal of the day. Ooh, that's new. That's the Killer Heels from Oh So Chic. That's new.
That's a full-on card shape.
That is a full-on card shape. That's only been out a couple of months. To Carnation, no. £31.49, down by 30%. We love Deal of the Day. Deal of the Day. Deal of the Day. Is Harvey not in? Let's not tell him. Okay, guys, I'm going to let it go before I just carry on babbling. The brain. I have really enjoyed this morning. I love doing the lives with you guys. It's always nice to do it in the studio. Here we get a bit more time to chat and a bit more time to kind of explore. So I hope I haven't bored you all. And when are we back? Oh, well, I'm back tomorrow. Can I just say that we are on C&C tomorrow with Sheer Delights. If you want some more inspo for that. 4 and 8 tomorrow. I'm on Crate and Craft.
And then on Wednesday at 8 a.m. with Wheeler.
Wheeler's on 8 a.m. on Wednesday.
And
then it's Easter.
We're back in here on Tuesday the 11th.
Tuesday the 11th after Easter.
A new launch.
A new launch.
Mr. Dave.
So I haven't spoken to Carnation yet, but if we have got Day the Bee here on Tuesday with a brand new launch, then I will probably come to you to do a Facebook Live on possibly Easter Monday. I think is probably more appropriate than Easter Sunday, but I will try and get you a preview in. It'll go on the Facebook page, so you can watch that at any time. I know lots of people do a lot of things over Easter, but it will be on the Facebook page, so you can go and view it. Right, guys, have an awesome time. Until then, I will see you tomorrow on Create and Craft for sheer delight. Until then, please do take care of yourselves. Make sure you stay safe. Big love to you all and big hugs. Take care. Bye.